objectives for this session. We want to compare and contrast the zoning code reform process of three major cities that are currently undergoing that process. We want you to be able to understand the sequence of the processes, the timeline, the resources needed for zoning code reform. And we want you to leave the session becoming familiar with some national best practices in code reform and community engagement.
I'm Eva Gladstein. You can read the sign, right? Executive Director of our Zoning Code Commission in Philadelphia. And what's a little bit unique about Philadelphia is I probably have the most bosses of anybody. I know I do, of anybody on this panel. I serve as Executive Director for a commission that's established through a referendum put to the voters of Philadelphia in the primary in May 2007, where everybody agreed the zoning code was very broken and needed to be fixed, and 80% of the populace voted in favor of that. And so we have a 31, they didn't vote in favor of what they wanted, just that the current code was broken. So we're sorting that out. But so we have a 31-member commission that was set up. We actually changed the city charter to create this commission. It's very diverse, representative on a number of fronts. It includes the three city officials who engage most with the zoning code, the executive director of our planning commission, the chair of our zoning board of adjustment, and the commissioner for basically our permitting agency, licenses and inspections. It also has 40 city council members out of our 17 who sit as members of the commission, and each of our district city council members have a representative on the commission. Then in addition to that, we have professionals who work with the code, civic associations, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the commission almost acts as a way of trying to build consensus because we are representative of the population or the interested stakeholders in the city. And we're aided by a team of local and national consultants. Dan referenced Don Elliott from Claren Associates, who's in the audience listening to how I represent our work. And they've been phenomenal, I think, in terms of providing us with expertise in terms of experience of other localities. And again, being able to speak with the voice of an expert where sometimes you are not able to say things in your local context that might be a little bit controversial. It's been very helpful to have consultants who are able to talk about national best practices. And we've seen on a number of times it's really made a difference in terms of the attitude of our commissioners. Up until December, we had one full-time staff person, myself, and then I got a second. But I also, that's a little bit inaccurate in that our offices are within our city planning commission, so we're able to draw upon our planning commission staff who really provide the expertise in terms of community planning, development and zoning, urban design, et cetera. But the staff of the Zoning Code Commission are really just charged with moving this process along. Actually, the referendum that created the commission had a timeline attached to it. Originally, the commission was supposed to get its final product to City Council within a year. We got an extension of another 2 years, but it was very unrealistic in the beginning. We totally stole Baltimore's 3 R's. We have a few different words in there, but we divided our process into 3 phases. The first was a set of recommendations, which we completed in 2009. Took about a year for that, and it was really a roadmap to the new code. I mean, Dan mentioned about how the fact that he's now regretting that they didn't do a process similar to this. But that roadmap included an assessment of the existing code, national best practices, and a few issue areas that we thought were important to us. And then a set of draft recommendations, which was really the organizational framework for the new code with some text, not zoning text, but some guidance behind it. So it was really a roadmap for the writing process. And what we do in terms of building consensus is each time we put out a product, our commission looks at it and vets it and gives some feedback or revisions to that product, but we keep moving along to the next product to just kind of keep building up the information and our general shared understanding of where we're going. Our second phase that we're in right now is to do the actual rewriting. And we have, well, as of Wednesday, we'll have 2 out of 3 modules done. We chunked it out into 3 pieces of work. The first, because it was most important in Philadelphia, the thing that people felt was most broke were administrative processes. There was a tremendous amount of distrust by everybody in the process. Everybody thinks there's this secret binder with all kinds of, private rules, interpretations, stuck under the permit counter, and nobody's access to it. So we put that module out first. The second one on districts and uses is going to be published on Wednesday, right when I get back. And then our third on development standards in July. And then, this kind of skips, I'll go for it a little bit, but then we have to integrate those pieces and go through the adoption process, which is, again, through our city charter change. What we're mandated to give a report to city council. They're mandated to hold hearings. They can give it back to the commission for some changes, but then they are required to vote it up or down or table it. And so Lori mentioned the electoral process. We'll be waiting to see how this fits into our local electoral process. The third phase, the Zoning Code Commission is actually not responsible for in Philadelphia. It's our Planning Commission, and that's to carry out a remapping process. So the Zoning Code Commission actually goes out of business for a minimum of 5 years after we hand off the code to City Council. And then the Planning Commission is required to take the next step, which is we'll have done a conversion map, so people will still have a zoning map that they can work from. But in terms of looking at areas that have experienced a lot of change, areas of vacancy, transit-oriented development, where we might see some zoning rezoning needs, that process will occur after our new code is adopted by City Council and be led by our Planning Commission. We created a set of stakeholder goals out of, there are really 3 sources for this. One was the original legislation had some guidance in terms of creating a code that promoted good quality development and protected neighborhood character. We also did, obviously we did a lot of assessment and research and best practices, and we've also done extensive civic engagement. Philadelphia, I've learned, is a town that has a very big community voice, loud, engaged, and we've heard a lot through our civic engagement processes. So with those kind of 3 streams of information, we came out with these 5 broad goals. And frankly, involve the public in development decisions was not in the mandate that City Council gave us through the charter change. That was new. And making construction development more predictable, which is the voice we always hear from the developers, was also not in our original mandate through our referendum.